Hello and welcome to another Tutorial Demon tutorial. Alright, today I'll be showing you how to overclock your GPU. Alright, so it's pretty simple and easy to do because nowadays there are a lot of free and very easy to use tools that you can simply overclock with. And I'm going to make a pretty detailed tutorial on how to do that. Please note that most of these programs do overclock your computer, but only in mostly safe limits. This doesn't mean that they're completely safe, and you can actually edit their settings in their INI file or any file to go to some extreme measures. But I don't do that. You don't really need to go past the presets. I mean, if you do, I mean, you're just asking for a crash. But so let me just jump right in. So and note, overclocking will not instantly make your graphic card amazing, but it will probably increase its performance by 10 to 15%, especially in graphic cards that are either older or that are really cheap and crappy in general. Okay. So you will need one of these free programs. One of the most popularly used and up-to-date programs would be MSI Afterburner. So let's open that up. Also, for me, well, I have one that came with my graphics card called GPU Tweak. So you may already have one that came with it if you have an overclock edition of your graphic card like mine. But let's jump into MSI Afterburner. You're also going to need a monitoring program. I have this one. There are many monitoring programs out there. There's like an insane amount, so I don't even need to put a link in the description. You can just Google it and just choose which one you like best. I like to use this called Open Hardware Monitor. But like I said, there are so many of these programs out there that I don't even need to put one in the I don't even need to put a link in the description. If you want one, just comment and I'll supply you with one out of the many surfacing around out there. So one thing you want to keep in mind is your GPU core. I'm more than sure if you're looking at this video, you've probably Googled overclocking already and you know that it's pretty dangerous. But the thing that you probably didn't know is that overclocking your GPU is kind of made foolproof. Essentially, if it senses that there's a voltage of electricity that's too high for it, or if the temperature is getting too insane, it will automatically shut itself down to protect itself. So it's pretty much foolproof. It's made to crash under certain conditions so that it doesn't damage itself. But overclocking at a safe level over time can decrease the amount of life in your graphics card. So keep that in mind. So by doing this, so don't overclock all the time every single day, or just overclock during game time. I would really recommend only overclocking while you're playing your games, alright? Or else you will risk shaving at least a year off of your graphics card. Okay, so keep this monitored here. GPU core. Keep that temperature monitored. So we're gonna open up MSI Afterburner. And here it is. And it's pretty simple. As far as your core voltage here, now your core voltage that can be edited, but you'll have to go into an ini file to edit it, because at the moment editing that is extremely dangerous for overheating reasons and also for power overload reasons. So that's why that's kind of locked. They really only want experienced people editing it. That's why you have to go into an ini file to edit it. However, this is a mildly outdated version of MSI Afterburner. It's the 3.0.1, so maybe they have it unlocked for the 4.1 version. I don't know. I like to use this version though. But yeah, core voltage, you're going to have to edit in any file to do that, and I'm not going to show you how to do that because if you're experienced enough to mess around with the core voltage, then you wouldn't need me to tell you. That I'm just being quite honest, because I don't want you to destroy your graphics card. But this right here should be enough, alright? So what you'll have here, you have your core clock, memory clock, and your power limit. So let me start off with the core clock, the most important, in my opinion, at least the most important. Your core clock is the core clock of your graphics card, and it determines performance in general. So how I usually overclock, I go in intervals of 10. Most people do intervals of 5 or intervals of 15, but I like intervals of 10. So it's pretty simple. Let me just click here. Wait, hold on. So that's 147. Alright, Alright, make that 157. Alright, enter, and now hit apply. And if it doesn't crash, keep going. Just keep going like that. Intervals of 10 until you reach an unsafe level. And how you know it's time to turn it down is when you start to see screen problems. I don't want to do it now because I'm afraid it might crash because I am recording at the moment. That's already so I don't want to crash my system. Either when your computer crashes, which don't worry because like I said, it's foolproof. It's supposed to do that. It's basically your graphic card protecting itself. But either when your computer crashes or when you start to see weird image errors like this will start to lag across the screen or something crazy like that, or you'll start to see like those if you ever played Assassin's Creed or something, you'll see glitches in the screen, like you're in the guy, like your computer's in the Matrix or something like that. When you start to see weird shit like that happen, then you usually know, okay, it's time to turn this down by about 10. You know, I think I went too high. So yeah. And then you have your memory clock. Your memory clock next. Your memory clock determines how fast your graphic card's VRAM works. So your memory clock, if you're playing a game that's heavily open worlded like Skyrim or Fallout or Dragon Age or The Witcher, then or Grand Theft Auto 5, then you probably want to focus more on your memory clock than your core clock because that's going to really help you out in open worlded games like that, like in large level games. And for this, I usually only use intervals of 5 because it's very easy to crash it. So 3, shit, I forget the default value with that. Hold on. There we go. 335, turn that to 340. Apply. We're still running, see? It also has a monitor over here, but I noticed this monitor seems a little inaccurate. Well, maybe it's because I have a previous version of it. I have an older version. The monitor might work for you. But this monitor is mildly inaccurate sometimes. Not all the times. Like right now it's reading pretty accurate if I open up hardware monitor again. Let me see. Yeah, 43 degrees Celsius. Alright. Like right now it's pretty accurate, but sometimes it'll just be inaccurate. Like it'll be reading like 45 degrees Celsius when I'm really at like 50. Or I'm like 56 or something like that. So it reads inaccurate sometimes, which is why I just like to use hardware monitor. But if it seems to be accurate for you, then go with it. But it's not for me. So and what is the safe level next? You're probably wondering what's the safe temperature level. Safe temperature level is anywhere. Well, I like to stay below 60. That's personally just me. I like to stay below 60 degrees Celsius. Keeping in mind that I believe around 25 degrees Celsius is room temperature. So around 25 degrees is room temperature. That means around 30 degrees getting kind of warm, and so you get the idea. Right now my graphic card is like kind of warm, like kind of very warm right now because it's at 43, 44, you know. During playing games with it not overclocked, when I'm playing games with it not overclocked, it's usually at around 50, while overclocked it's usually at around 55 to 57, uh, which is actually pretty good, pretty good. Yeah. I really recommend not going over 60, but I mean, if you're willing to shave off like a year of your graphic card's health, you can go over 60 if you want. Like if you have a graphic card that you know you're just gonna replace next year, then I would definitely recommend going over 60. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, that's the general idea of overclocking. Oh yeah, power limit. That's the one I forgot. Your power limit. So the more power you give it, the more stable this becomes. Like if you ever came up to a situation, and this is actually how I learned how the power limit works. If you ever came up to a situation where you were overclocking your core clock and your memory clock and then became unstable and you want just a little bit extra of it, you can up the power. But upping the power, of course, obviously ups the temperature. So be careful with that. And it also shaves off your graphic card's health. I really recommend like you only overclock during 5 to 6 hour gaming sessions, and even then, uh, don't do it every day. Only do it like every 2 days. or else you will risk damaging your graphic card over time. So yeah, and just to show you how this is uh, my default overclocking program, and as you see, I have an i7 Uh, that's my I have it actually saved. Profile one. I have that saved. So it's pretty much like MSI Afterburner. The only difference between this and MSI Afterburner is this is already configured to kind of know the limits of my graphics card. So it's kind of already configured to know what it can and what it cannot do. Whereas MSI Afterburner requires a little bit more experimenting. I see I have this all the way to max. I have that there. Memory clock almost all the way to max, etc. I can do that easily because of the fact that this already kind of knows. If I would have turned all of these up to its max, all the way up to maximum, then I would probably shave maybe a few months, if not half a year, off of my graphic card's health. But that's about it because this is already pre-configured. So if you already have a overclocking program for your computer, I'm not your computer, for your graphics card, my bad, for your graphics card, then you should probably just use that. But if you do not, like if you have a really crappy graphics card that you just plan to get rid of in a year or maybe 2 years, then you should probably just use MSI Afterburner. Yeah, just use MSI Afterburner, overclock it. There you go. You'll get some extra performance out of it. Like I said, you only get like 10 to probably 13% extra performance. Not a lot, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm about covering this. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. I would like to get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any questions on overclocking, yeah.